Now it's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T. from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
Well, it's time for the Jesse T. From a very undisclosed location. Three of us spread out all over Southern California today. And now a beautiful day here in the Southland. Some over clouds here in certain parts of the city, but for the most part, it's been a nice day here. And I haven't been able to get out there in traffic today, so that is a blessing always when you don't have to get into traffic and drive anywhere. I've been staying more or less in the compound known as Torrero. Good to have you on the line with us. Good to have you on the show. It's the Real Stories right here. Bringing on Dale Byrd. What's happening, Dale?
Hey, Mr. Jesse T. How you doing, brother?
Hey, a lot of stuff's been taking place over the last week since last Thursday, so we're going to get to it real good.
Indeed. Well, Jess, I got to say one thing before you start. Is I noticed last week some of the people in your show was calling me out as a moron and everything else, and I know the conservative side always likes to have a boogeyman, and you know I know we can't do Hillary Clinton anymore. I want to be the new progressive boogeyman. Call me the black progressive.
Oh, I like that, man. I'm putting that up on the board,
Mr. Black Progressive.
Right? Give me all of the conservative anger. I'll take it. I'm like, I want to be the biggest villain.
Oh my goodness, that's going to be, well, baby, you got the shoulders to take it on. I know that for sure. I love that though. The black. You know what we got to do? We got to get Lee Baby Michaels to do like a real deep voice. The black progressive. God, talking.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Make sure you remember that.
I will. I like that idea. We're going to do a couple promos coming up here. So, yeah, hey, look, we love your shares. We love your likes. We love your comments, ladies and gentlemen. We all have different points of view, and sometimes we get a little rowdy, and we want you guys to always participate. 424-227-9461 is the number. And I know Lee will be able to figure out, maybe get some phone calls coming to here as we start moving ahead here. Now we got to bring on the third triangle here, the third point of the triangle. And it's Dominique Craig. What's happening, Dominic?
Good afternoon. How are you today?
Very good, man. As I said to Dell, it's been a long week and a lot of good stuff has happened to talk about, boy. Are you ready?
Yes.
Born ready.
Now, here's the cool thing about this, guys. If you don't know the two gentlemen on the line here, I'm going to give you a little background. They're friends for life. They've been pals for a long time. And so they know each other real well, you know. And since they are pals for a long time, one would think that they think alike in terms of a lot of different viewpoints. But quite the opposite. They have different viewpoints, which are dramatically different. And that gives it a real uniqueness because they've known each other for so long. Yet they've gone this different ways on their ideologies. And that's kind of cool because it's good to see them get at each other. And myself here, you know, I kind of throw the fuel on the fire, the monitor here, and they keep things going, but I definitely try to get my point of view. You're independent, conservative, free-thinking, crazy man here, Jesse T. So let's get on at it. It's the real story on the Jesse T Show, and we got no time to waste. Going to toss some things out at you. We're going to kind of hit stuff up here a little bit differently than we have been doing because I want to talk about stuff. There's so much to talk about. Let's start off in Chicago. Chicago is my kind of town. Chicago. Oh, baby, come on now. Rahm Emanuel is leaving behind a tainted city of murder, crime, and corruption. He put it up as he's afraid to run for his third term. What do you think about that, D. Craig?
I'm glad that he is not running. I feel that Chicago is a prime example of the failed leadership that has come from the liberal wing of the Democratic Party. I don't believe that Rahm was a good mayor. I don't believe he represented the people, and I'm glad that he's getting bounced.
Remember, he left the Obama administration very early on in the first part of the presidency of President And he left that presidency and he took the Chicago job. So he's had it for quite a while, Del. And, I was born in Chicago and my daughter plays with the Chicago Red Stars. And honestly, I have a intrepidation about her going there when she plays. It's kind of a scary city now.
To talk about Rahm Emanuel, number one, is he's served 2 terms there, and it's time for him to go. He's lost the confidence of the black community, and he knew that he was not going to be able to be reelected again because he lost the confidence of the black community. He is from there, and he said that was his dream job because he wanted to do some things. Historically, Chicago is one of the most segregated big cities in America, and that's part of the problem. What he tried to do was connect the North to the South with rails and busing, and he did have some success from that, but ultimately he didn't get to the crux of what the real problem in Chicago is. And it's because the cities that we see the shootings from, I know everybody is like demagoguing. We see the cities, the shootings from, it's only based in about 3 or 4 neighborhoods there. And they're the most isolated, most segregated neighborhoods in Chicago. And if you look at the poverty rate in those cities, then you will see what the problem is. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let you guys go on. You guys are conservatives are always saying, oh, Democrats have been running the damn thing for 50 years, blah, blah, so-and-so. Okay, here's the deal, guys. Step up. Step up and give a credible Republican alternative to the person that's going to try to run in his place. If you give us some 28-year-old ridiculous guy, you're going to lose again because you're trying to spout problems that the black community does not care about. They don't care about immigration. They don't care about, they do not care about immigration. They don't care about the things that Republicans are talking about. Be a Republican from the Eisenhower era. You could win. You can actually win this city if you bring a black or Hispanic Republican with some credibility that's going to show that city that economically is where we need to go. If you bring some silly 28-year-old person there again, you are going to lose.
Well, you did make a point there, and the point is that Chicago has been run by the Democratic Party for as long as anybody can ever remember. I mean, going back to the Al Capone days,
right?
The daily stranglehold on Chicago.
3 generations of dailies.
The crime, the corruption, the outfit known as the mafia in the East Coast, known as the outfit in Chicago. It has been there. We're talking for 150 years. There's definitely, Chicago has had its crime element that has been there for many generations of people. There is a definite demarcation line, a 38th parallel, if you will, say, in Chicago between the South Side and the North Side. There definitely is a lot of racism in Chicago, both by blacks and by whites and by people that are Latino in their background. There's a lot of racism going on in Chicago, and it's deep rooted and generational because of just merely the way the city was segregated for money, power, control, and that kind of stuff. So historically, that's very true. But saying that too, Detroit was very similar to it, and Detroit was run into the ground. Now, as of recently, and for the first time in the history of Detroit, at least since the end of the 1950s, Detroit's now run by a Republican, more conservative approach. And, there is businesses coming back to Detroit, though Detroit was completely bombed out. in that inner circle of Detroit. When you get out into the suburb, it changes a little bit, but in that inner circle. But there's city after city in this country that does have the problem. San Francisco with Gruesome Newsom, who's running for the state gubernatorial candidate. He's probably going to win because John Cox is the Republican here in California, but this is a stranglehold state of Democratic liberal rule. So, and he comes straight out of San Francisco, and look at the problems they've been having. Look at the problems we're having now in Los Angeles under Democratic rule since Mayor Reardon was the mayor. Now, you may have liked him or not, but nevertheless, look at the problems that some of the Midwestern and East Coast cities that have had since the Democrats have taken over. So there is a definite correlation to that. D. Craig, what do you think?
I agree. I think that the problems that you see in these Democratic cities, I'm talking about mostly homelessness. And I want to talk about my experience in my little part of the world. We got a Democratic governor, Jerry Brown, and homelessness just spiked over the last 10 years. Homelessness has spiked 75% in California. In my neighborhood in California, it's gone up 46% in just the last few years. Last year, it went up 13 to 14%. We have around 133,000 people living in the streets in California, in Los Angeles. The actual statistic, at least on record, is 65,000 on the last count. But, there's more than that. There's got to be more than that. You got people living in their Winnebagos. You got people living in their campers. And now they've had to change the laws. You can't park overnight. You can't sleep in your car. While all of this is going on, there are $1 million condos. $500,000 will buy you a 2-bedroom condo. And then every day you get to look at the homeless. This is not, I don't know what bill of goods were sold to the people, but you cannot have a quality of life with this many homeless people. It's just not going to work. Now, what is the answer? Okay, yes, we need entry-level jobs. They're mad at Trump because his presidency has created the largest number of entry-level jobs. They want to call them working poor and low-wage jobs. But the fact is, you need a job. You need a job. When you come out of high school today, the jobs that you used to get, they're all held by adults today. There's adults doing all the fast food jobs. There's adults doing, working at the mall, if you will. So we need
what the problem is, D. Craig, but what's the solution?
Well, I'm going to tell you the solution, and I'm going to give you an example from the solution, because conservatives are good at talking about the problems, but they're never good at giving the solutions. So let the dark shadow progressive tell you the solution. So wait a minute, and I'm going to give you an example, and you guys are going to
knows what's in the heart.
Right. And I'm going to give you the example because it's something that you guys talk about all the time. Take Maxine Waters.
Oh, Lord, Maxine. Oh, take her away.
43rd District of California. It encompasses a lot of areas that used to be completely black 50 years ago.
Mostly
Inglewood.
Now.
And now they're mostly Hispanic.
Central American, to be specific.
Yeah, well, Hispanic.
Well, it's different than being Mexican, brother.
Right. Well, that's y'all with the wall. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to really be politically correct. I'm just trying to tell you what it is. Okay. And she has outlived her usefulness because the era that she comes from is a civil rights, social fixing problem. She tries to fix her things socially, but the reality of it is now those areas are economically challenged. What you just said, Dominic, you said it and you passed it by. And then when you pass it by, it's part of your mistake. Is $15 an hour does not get you a house or an apartment in that area. That's not our problem. The problem is not the minimum wage of California, which should be, we have the highest minimum wage in the country. Is we don't have economic opportunities in those regions. Maxine's Waters has been there for 30 years, 28 years. They have resized their district, which used to be the 35th, now it's the 43rd or whatever. But it's still the same area. So it's still the same deal. And what the problem is, you think that you can kick those homeless people out of those areas and it's going to make a difference. It is not going to make a difference. What's going to make a difference is investing in Americans again. We need to make a massive infrastructure, a massive job training bill like Eisenhower did in the 50s. We need to get our citizens past this manufacturing cold 19th century mentality and bring us into the fold.
Well, that's absolutely
right now.
You're right in terms of that.
And we have not done that for 50 years.
Yeah, well, $15 doesn't cut it. And when they raised it, they actually shot themselves in the foot because now McDonald's and whatnot are all putting in robots and AI intelligence that in the burger flipping machine. And that's just one aspect. All the cashiers now at Walmart and whatnot, you can self-check out at Home Depot and all that. They've gotten rid of tons and tons and tons of jobs because it's cheaper to keep a machine going 24/7 than somebody paying $15 an hour. And that is true, man. You're sounding not like a progressive. You're sounding like an independent, conservative, free thinker. And I like what
I'm a progressive. Stop. I am a progressive.
I just want to make a point here. The issue is in California, we have good. That's problem number one. Chicago, they don't. Okay, so everybody comes here from all the rest of the nation. That's going to be tough to get over. Number two, we have a generational problem here of handouts. Handouts. That's a big issue here all through the state of California because of the politics. Number three, the restrictions on big business and small business and businessmen and the taxation problems is we're the highest taxable state in the United States of America, other than Manhattan. Manhattan is the only one that's a little bit higher. So we have many corporations. Did you know that Google is packing up bags and leaving California now? They just announced Google is leaving California. So we have that problem. We have that. And coupled with high housing costs, absolutely, because the people that can afford to buy the houses are buying the houses, and there's just not enough houses to replace on the middle to lower income level. That's absolutely true, and that's always been a California problem. My thing is, I'm saying you got to create jobs that people can do. Jobs, and what you do with the homeless, and I've counted the homeless for 10 years. What you do with the homeless is you give them jobs, cleaning up the freeways, cleaning up, and pay them their $15 an hour. I mean, we spend so much wasted money letting criminals go. Gary Brown, etc. I'm not going to go. I'm going to end this. But the point is, we got to create jobs with the homeless people, and call the ones that are never going to get off. Help the ones that want to get off, and try to encourage the ones
and give them affordable housing.
You can never have affordable housing.
No. Yes, you can. You can segregate a part of your city to give those people that you're talking about.
Where are you going to segregate? Whose property are you going to eminent domain?
No. You're the mayor or a councilman of California. You control a whole batch of area here, and there's so many vacant spots around LA.
Tell me why.
That you're trying to rehab and help you rehab them. It makes no sense to give them that amount of money if they can't live on $15 an hour. You have to rehab them. You have to punch them up to the next level.
You're absolutely right on the amount of property the city of Los Angeles, just the city of Los Angeles owns. I've got clients right now in the real estate business. I'm making offers on city of Los Angeles properties. The bureaucracy process is beyond belief. But here's the point: there's tons of buildings that have been sitting vacant for 50 years.
Yes.
Okay? There's tons of land that they own. There's tons of land that they've got that they're doing nothing with. But here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. The problem is, one, the city has never done anything in that respect. And anytime somebody decides to try to do something, like back in the 80s when they had those little white igloos sitting in Los Angeles, they had this, it was called the Housing America or something. Ingenious idea. You had about 50 of them out there on a piece of land that a 50-story skyscraper sits on right now. And it worked really great in this transition in the 80s from homelessness to having a piece of property to rent. But right now in Alvaro Street, they just opened up 3 trailers, 45 people. They've got Trailer City now. The city has created $2 million for this. For 3 trailers near the Pueblo de Los Angeles, Alvaro Street, 45 people can live in that. We got a 65,000 people problem, and that establishment costs $2 million. It's never going to happen, Dal. That's fantasy land. The city is never going to make it happen. Why? Because of the greedy rat bastard sons of a bitches that run this city and are Democrats and the placating Republicans, rhinos, and the billionaires. They don't want it to happen.
They don't want it to happen. The fact of the matter is, as cold as this is, somebody's making money off of it. Somebody is making money off of it. Now, I live in a rent-control building. So I'm very fortunate. I've been in my apartment for 10 years. We don't plan on leaving. But as soon as we do leave, the rent is almost going to double for my apartment. And it takes a family to make that kind of money. And this is a 1-bedroom apartment. Wages is part of it. Jobs is part of it. And definitely affordable housing is part of it. Now, a lot of that has to do with zoning, okay? If you go to a city, now, I don't know how many people have been to a place called Altadena, California.
Yeah.
But if you go there, if you go to this place, you will see that they don't zone apartments. There might be, I don't know, 10, 15 apartment buildings in the whole city.
There's only rent control in the city of Los Angeles. In the county, there is no rent control.
Okay.
And that's the county area, so there's no rent control there.
Okay. I'm saying that we could approach this by zoning. Like if you go to the San Fernando Valley, you have never seen so many apartment buildings in your life. In your whole life, you've never seen so many apartment buildings. And with the weight of the population of California, us being the most populated state, we should have better zoning. Some of these areas are underpopulated. I understand that they're trying to preserve home values, but we're past that because nobody's going to buy your home if you've got homeless people everywhere and all of the problems that come with them. I'm talking about drugs. I'm talking about public defecation. I'm talking about crime. I'm talking about crazy people.
These are all laws that the Democrats have passed at the city council in Los Angeles over the last 30 years. Look, when I got in the real estate business in 1979, okay, I got my license in 78. The first house I sold in 1979 in Sun Valley, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom. That's a toilet and a sink by the kitchen, okay? 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms. Guess what that property cost in 1979? Just $175. How much do you think that cost?
I'm sorry, I didn't see the particulars, but probably about $50,000.
D. Craig, how much do you think that property cost in 79? 3 bedrooms, 1.5 baths in the middle of the San Fernando Valley.
Well, you get a little land with that, so I'm going to say $175.
How about $26,000?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay,
Yes.
1979, $26,000. Okay, now guess what that same house sold for 3 months ago with another broker. The house that I used to own, that one, I bought that and kept that for 15 years. Guess what that house sold for? Same house, not many difference in repairs. Same house.
1.7.
What?
I was going to say 1.5.
Yeah, 1.7 is what I'll say.
All right. Well, you both exaggerated a little bit, but I will tell you, 625.
That's still a lot.
Okay. Now, how do you go from 26,000 to 625 in 40 years?
Because real estate is a perception. And the perception is how much you think is worth is how much I'm going to sell it for is worth. And that's how real estate goes. Come on, Jesse, I'm not telling you anything. They knew you're an expert. As real estate values go up, then the offers go up from them.
Right. But people's income doesn't go up at the same rate.
And that's the problem.
Okay. And the reason why it doesn't go up at the same rate is because of inflation, inflationary conditions, supply and demand, etc. So here's the point. We're never going to be able to solve the 65,000 people homeless problem just in the city of Los Angeles alone. We're not talking San Diego, Sacramento, Fresno, Bakersfield, San Francisco. We're just talking.
It's actually an easy fix.
Well, the easy fix is that you give them jobs that they can do right now.
Now,
jobs that they can do right now.
It's an easy fix because what you don't take in consideration and what nobody else takes into consideration, and if California was a country, we would have the 5th largest economy in the world, meaning that we make money here. It's the allocation of the money that's wrong. Well, it's absolutely. The allocation of what we do what's wrong with it.
And to take your words right out of my black progressive friend's mouth.
The shadow.
To take his words. The Democrats have owned this state for 40 years. Owned this city since Reardon and the last Olympics here, Summer Olympics in the 80s. The Democrats have owned it, and they own the problem. Moving on.
Yeah, move on to the next subject because it's probably going to be a segue.
Real fast. Kaepernick. Nike shoes. Kaepernick. I hope Nike goes out of business. How dare they hire this commie mouthpiece called Capper Jerk?
All right. I think that the NFL players have a right to protest. I think that they do. I found out, I did not know about the 3rd verse of that song where they talk about slavery and killing the slaves and so on. I did not know about that. I think that it's wrong to ask somebody who is a descendant of slaves to sing that song or to give reverence to that particular song. Now, taking a knee.
Oh, come on, man.
No, wait a minute. I'll be quick here. Taking a knee. Kaepernick asked a soldier. Kaepernick asked a soldier, how do I protest and not be offensive? And the soldier said, you take a knee.
Oh, take a knee. You stand for the song. You know, you want to know why? Because there's been many Black Americans, African Americans that have died for that song, died for the flag.
No, they didn't die for that song. Didn't nobody. If there were so many, you could name me one.
Protest another way. You don't do that. And you protest a game that somebody
protest is not supposed to be comfortable.
No, you don't do that. There's right and wrong. You don't do that. If I'm taking my family, it's going to cost me $1,000 to go to a friggin' NFL game. At least $500. And I'm sneaking food in my wife's purse. Okay? You know? Okay, so the point is, I'm there to be in.
I guess, Jesse, you are a little bit black, but anyway.
Yeah, not to be lectured by people who got a chip on their friggin' shoulder. Thank you.
But see, you go to the game to watch the game. You don't go to the game to watch them stand.
I go to the game for the whole thing, the whole pomp and ceremony of the whole thing.
Well, they should leave that out. They should leave that out. Sports and politics need to be separate, not together.
It's not politics. It's not politics.
If I chime in for a second,
go, do it.
Number one, Dominic, I was about to revoke your black card, but apparently you still got a little bit of it. And the reality is way deeper than what you're saying, D. Is I watched the NFL play this game for 25 years. This racist, fake patriot game for 25 years. There's nothing about the game of football, which is a game that is equaling patriotism. Who made that lie? Who made that lie? Who made us understand that as a reality? Some people going out there strapping it up and playing some football, and now it's patriotism. I never got that, but I do get it. And here's the thing: I watched the NFL 25. I'm real quick. I watched the NFL 25 years ago, and Dominic, you know I've been saying this in 25 years. Played this dumb, fucked up marketing game, and what they do is they have tried to, on purpose, make this game about white patriotism. That's what they have done. They went out and got the flyby. They went by and got the flags. They went by and did that. They did it as a marketing tool because they was trying to cater to a particular point of people in our country. That's what they've done.
Let me add to that.
All kinds of other stuff with that. And I've said this for 25 years. I'm not going to go into it on my show. Hey, the Black Shadow with the morons says, if you want to hear the real talk, hit me on my site. I'll tell you the real talk. But go ahead, D.
Okay, I want to add to that, right? It came about during the I think it was the first Iraq War, maybe the second Iraq War.
Yep.
Soldiers were not joining the army. They were not. There was just too many bad stories about people joining the Army National Guard to get money for college and then being dropped off in Iraq or Afghanistan and being shot up and sent home in a box. So people stopped joining. So the military said, you know what? We need to put this in the football games. We need to have all of this flag stuff and the flag. We're going to put that in the football games because these are the people that we want in serving our country. These are the people that we want as soldiers. We want the football fans to be soldiers because I don't know, but I know that I've always loved football and I was also a soldier and you know, and anyway, they brought that in. The fans did not bring that in. Right. Before that time, they didn't televise this stuff. And I'm mad at the NFL. I'm mad at the NFL because they basically took something that, well, maybe it wasn't as pure as I thought it was, but
it was pure. It
made it political.
Well, maybe both of you guys should take a vacation at 4th of July too, huh? And maybe both of you guys should take a vacation and go somewhere else in the world around the New Year's celebration of this great country, where all this pomp and ceremony, fireworks and flag. I played football since I was 8 years old. I went to I played Pop Warner. I played high school. I got a full ride scholarship, and I tried out for the Canadian Football League, okay, because the NFL wouldn't have me because I was too small. So here's the point. All my life, the national anthem, the flag, and even the prayer has always been part of the game of football and baseball and wrestling and everything. Every sport we have in this country has been part of that because it is a recognition of this country, a recognition of the people who have served, and a recognition of what you're about to do. And that's what it's all about. But here, let's get back to Kaepernick and say, what do you think about Nike? Real quick. Do you think they made the right decision hiring this guy or the wrong decision?
Yes, and I did. And I was on social network today that I didn't really make too many comments about the Nike thing. I was just looking at the reactions from it. And the reality is that, in my opinion, is that they absolutely made the right decision because they don't play the short game. Nike does not play the short game. They play the long game. And they know 20 years from now, they're going to be on the right side of history. And that's what they're trying to do. Their stock dropped 3% the first day that they announced it. But trust me, Nike is not going to go out of business because they dropped 3 points.
No, you got to understand.
Just adjust it up.
They have more than just one sport. They have not just football. That's just one of their sports. They've really got a lock on basketball. Right. And you may have noticed that the NBA won't go near this. They don't go near this.
Because
my wife and I, they're too smart. They're too smart.
They realized it a long time ago, Dominic. They realized what the divide was about 25 years ago when they said, hey, if we have too many black players representing us, it's going to turn off white fans, the paying fans. So which direction do we need to go? Do we need to put a white face on our league, or do we need to support the black players that are our league? The NFL made the different decision.
Choice. Yeah.
They went the other way. They said that we want to represent this game as white folks. This is why they support Tom Brady's cheating ass. This is because
let me add to this. Right. I know I'm not supposed to cut y'all off, but let me add to this. Let me add to this briefly. There was a turn. It was like they had a place where they could decide which way were they going to go.
Yep.
They decided that we're going to make this as country. We're going to bring in this country music. We're going to, I've been waiting all day for Monday night. And we're going to bring in all the country this and the country that.
But wait a minute.
The Dallas Cowboys.
I like Hank Williams Jr. He's a bad motherfucker. But other than that, I'm just saying. But that's what they did.
Manning and Tom Brady, we're going to make them the face of our league.
Yep, that's what they did. And now as Malcolm X said, the chickens are coming home to roost, and they don't know what the hell to do with it.
No.
I'm just saying that's what's happening. The first day of football is tonight. I ain't watching it,
and I'm blacking out.
Let me say something real quick. We're moving on. The NBA in the early 1980s made a choice to go with the idea of the urban and inner city angle.
Yes.
It wasn't a black thing. I get so sick and tired of this racial stuff. It wasn't a black thing. Hip-hop music was starting to take a hold in 1983 when it broke commercial. We here in Los Angeles at K-Day, we here in LA, we broke it, made it a commercial environment that a station could do all hip-hop and rap music 24 hours a day. Prior to that, it had not been done.
And you did. You did.
It's good.
And I was there between 83 and 91. Right. Okay, now, I remember very distinctly when the guys from the LA Lakers, they had a big round table, and our program director went down there. They had other people from KJLH and Stevie Wonder station, K-Ace. They had all kinds of folks from all kinds of different parts of the city when they were discussing this issue in terms of marketing that they were thinking of doing. And they decided, the NBA decided that there's a lot of money to be made in an area where no money was really being made, because see, the issue was merchandise. They would sell the tickets and make money to the people that could afford the tickets, but to the people in the inner cities across America, they couldn't afford to buy the tickets to get into the stadiums. So they wanted to get into their pocketbooks some way. They coupled that with rap music. They coupled it with the merchandising sale. When all of that started happening and really evolved through the internet later on in the late 90s. And they made a splash. It had nothing to do with black Americans. It had everything to do with green dollar bills.
Right, but the green dollar bills, wait a minute, Jess, the green dollar bills had to do something with the crowd that they was attracting. That's why in 2018, LeBron James is the draw for in the NBA, and it's still Peyton Manning or Brady for the NFL. This is the reason why they made a conscious decision to do it.
And here's the decision they made, and I'm going to rephrase it. They didn't make a decision. A bunch of guys sitting around saying, okay, we're going to go into all the urban parts of all the cities in America, and we're going to market our product to Black Americans, African Americans. That's going to be our primary focus. No, we're going to market it away from white Americans. No, we're going to market it away from Latin Americans or whatever. No, that wasn't the primary focus. The primary focus was, where can we make more money where we're not making money, where there's a lot of money to be made? And that was one part of the niche of their marketplace, that they were not making any substantial money gains. That's what it was all about. Now, in terms of the NFL, in the NFL, you know, they didn't sit around and say, "Oh, it's a white thing. It's a white thing." What they had is they had a game. They had a game that they marketed a little bit differently, okay? And that's the key. It's all about the dollar bills. And we citizens get boondoggled in turning it into race. And I want to move to the Kavanaugh thing. This whole thing, this whole dog and pony show that they're doing in the Supreme Court, it's just a dog and pony show. You got Booker guy up there yelling around saying that he's going to release documents. Hey, they were already released. You know,
no. And then he tries to jump. Then he tries to fall on his sword. Like, I'm knowing that I'm breaking these rules. I want you to kick me out so that I can prove that I'm unpopular with the Republicans, and this will help me to run in 2020. And all I have to say to Mr. Cory Booker is, sir, please run in 2020. You're going to get your ass whipped. The fact is, and nobody wants to talk about how good the economy is doing under Trump. They need to distract from the fact that Trump's economy is doing a good job. They need to distract from that. And they've reached the point to where they will do anything to distract from that. Antifa wasn't enough. Antifa wasn't enough. Right now, as we speak, that dry comedian, Kathy Griffin, is outside of the White House with all of her dry comedian friends trying to upstage the president with this foolishness.
Well, you know, it's, wow, is what I got to say. Number one is that the Senate has been playing this game with the confirmation of justices for the last 25 years. It's grandstanding at its best. That's what they do. And so don't act like the Republicans don't do the same thing that the Democrats do. Don't act like that does not happen. The reality is, I'm going to give you some numbers.
You don't act like those guys are not getting paid. I have pictures of them getting cash payouts after they make their foolishness. And, you know, no, those are not real people. Those are paid agitators, just like Antifa.
I'm not talking about the people that's protesting in the back. I'm talking about the senators that confirm them. You going on for some other fucking tip here. You're going off on this other tip. I'm going to give you some numbers. Just this is going to make you laugh, because I had to go back and look at it when I heard one of the senators say this. I think it was it was my man from South Carolina. What's his name? Lindsey Graham.
Yeah,
he said this, and I was like, wow, you know what? I didn't think about that. Before the Robert Bork disaster, senators voted overwhelmingly on both sides for Supreme Justices. 84, 90, 94. They did that all the time. After Bork happened, then it became a side Tony show. And it is what it is. You can't, I don't want to hear you conservative Trumpers say anything else, because you are guilty of the same thing that we're guilty of doing right now. This is how the senators there that might be our next president, or running for president, put their bona fides up. They have to put their bona fides up with their crowd. They have to let you know that they not with it. I didn't change the game. The game changed with Bork. So stop acting holier than thou. And we're the only ones that do it because you motherfuckers do it all the time.
Jesse, give me a second. No. We have never had paid protesters. We've never had paid protesters. I have pictures of these people getting paid. I have a video on my page of Antifa shouting, George Soros, where's our money? George Soros, where's our money? I've seen the ads where they hire Antifa in the back of Craigslist. These are not real people. These are paid agitators.
Who cares? I'm not talking about them. You're the only one talking about this like they need something. They don't need anything. I'm talking about the senators that are questioning Kavanaugh right now. That's what
here's the problem. And you stated it, and it's very true. Since Bork, and this is the argument I've had about Washingtonian politics behind the circle. And this is why one of the reasons why I voted for Donald Trump is to clean the swamp as much as he could. Outsider coming in, to disturb it, to upset it, to shake it up, at the very least and minimal. And I've been a proponent that I've argued against this DC Washingtonian professional, this corruption, my whole adult life, and how it has imposed upon us. Yet they walk away like the Senator McCain worth $200 million after 30 years of service. I wish I had 30 years of service, and what I'm doing could make $200 million. But here's the point. The point is, ever since TV, radio, instant news, the internet, the Facebook, the Googles, as the technology has grown, it's given a platform for senators to become entertainers or get their face out in the public relations department for publicity for their next chair. I know quite a number of congressmen sitting in Congress right now. I know a few senators, okay, but and all of them, when they first come into the Senate or Congress, they're all vying for that subcommittee. They're all vying for that. What subcommittee can I get? Right. Where can I get placed? And they're all, when they're sitting on a subcommittee, they're trying to figure out a way how to get to the next subcommittee that's better. And the subcommittee that does this right now that we see on TV, this is like the top of the game, right? Right? And so you're absolutely right. And the process has been absolutely destroyed and cancer-ridden.
Right. No, and Jesse, let me just put some dubs on what you're saying here, and I'm going to put it on both sides. Is the Judiciary Committee, which is what confirms the justice here. How the hell does Kamala Harris get on that committee? Right. She's a first-time senator. How the hell does Cory Booker get on that? He's 4 years in the game. But you can say that on the other side, too.
Yeah, because
you can say that crap on the other side too. There should not be people on that committee. There should not be people on that committee that is not Dianne Feinstein or Orrin Hatch or old time senator, somebody that's been there for a while. How do these new guys get there? They get there is because the leadership of each party. It's not no Democrat or Republican.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
They want those faces there
because
they want those. They want Cory Booker there. They want Kamala Harris there. Is because they want them to be the face of their party. They want them to be the ones that have the best recognition to be able to do their next thing. And here's the thing: I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here. It's fucked up on both parts. Because that's not what this is. The Senate Committee for Supreme Justice should be about his competence for the job. Is he competent to do the job? Here's a man that's been 12 years on the second highest court. Of course he's competent.
Is Kavanaugh competent up to this point so far?
Of course he is. Of course he is. He's been on the second.
Craig, is Kavanaugh competent?
Yes. I think he's competent. I think so. I think they need to end this show some kind of way.
I think he's competent too.
Of course,
absolutely. He's got to move on.
He's been on the second largest bench for 12 years. He's written over 300 opinions. He's a competent judge, and that's what they're supposed to confirm. Competence.
I'm going to throw something at you guys. I'm going to throw something at you guys now that's totally off base. Julius Malema. He's an African from Africa. Okay, and he is out there talking in Africa right now on as many social sites and media that he can get in front of. He's talking about the uniting of the continent of Africa to become one country. Now, I have said this ever since I could ever remember, that if Africa as a country, the whole country could unite like the United States did and become one government, one currency, one country, that would possibly be one of the greatest countries the world has ever seen, because they have an untold amount, an untapped amount of natural resources. Every resource God's blue-green earth has, they have there, and it hasn't been touched at all.
What's his name? Jesse, what was his name again?
Julius Malema, M-A-L-E-M-A. Now,
and he better watch his back.
Okay, now, I've said this, but also what comes with that is because of the colonialization of Africa, which actually destroyed that ever happening hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And you can even go back to the Egyptian times and the warrior nation times of antiquity, which has destroyed that ability for that to happen. It probably will never happen. But I think that same concept of how they destroyed Africa 500 years ago, 600, 700, 800 years ago, from uniting, they've turned to America, the globalists, and are trying to destroy America in the same strategy. Break up America, make each other hate each other, create racism, over the top racism for everything, utilizing today's technology, keeping people poor, dumb, stupid, and unhealthy. I think they're doing that, separating communication, the whole 9 yards. What say you, Del?
Man, well, Jesse, you just clicked me into something that I was not even aware about, and I will go back and do some research on Mr. Julius here. But I agree with your philosophy 100%. I believe that the African continent has been divided for so long, fighting amongst each other, that they have not understood the real game. And I also believe that, just feel me on a second here, because I'm going to bring up my Malcolm X on you, is I believe the culture we do not have that, and I think that what you just said there is an exact reason why. You see what's happening in South Africa right now, and it's exaggerated all the way with the white nationalists talking about this. But here's a country for what centuries was apartheid, where black folks was not allowed to own anything. And to this day, 20, 25, 30 years later, after Mandela was released, black folks, white folks, they still own 72% of the land. And so now they're saying that in rural areas, there's crime everywhere because there's no jobs, that black folks are doing this genocide. It's the most ridiculous shit that I've ever heard in life.
May I?
So what you said there, Jesse, is kind of on point. I'm gonna go. I didn't know that, Jess, and that's why you're my boy, because you always find some shit that I didn't know. I'm about to run on this. I'm about to go back and look at this. I am.
No,
wait a minute.
Hey, D. Craig, I want to hear your input on this. Just let me make this one statement. The correlation of what they did to the African continent 600-700 years ago, I believe the globalists and the elitists, the power of the planet, which, that's what I believe, they're doing it to America now. to try to break us up, segregate us more, and destroy this nation that does have a culture, whether or not you're black, brown, yellow, pink, or green.
I don't believe that.
I believe that they're destroying this nation.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
So goes America, so goes the world. D. Craig.
Right, you're right. But
when you get to South Africa, there's a few things that we need to talk about. Right after Mandela came in and there was the so-called fall of apartheid, come on in, baby. Turns out that, well, white people couldn't get jobs doing anything because they had never done anything but be white in South Africa. So when it came time to do the hiring, all of the blacks got hired and all of the whites had to move out and become homeless people. There's over 100 squatter camps of white people who couldn't get jobs once apartheid was taken away. In other words, once the field was level, once you were just simply hiring the best man for the best job, suddenly white people were homeless and living in squatter camps. Now,
sounds like us 200 years ago.
Yeah, now take a look. Take a look.
Sounds like us 150 years ago.
Right. Australia, New Zealand, and Bulgaria are taking in these white people. They're coming to their rescue. They're giving them visas. They're bringing them into their country.
And Putin.
Okay. Right. But nobody came to the rescue of the black people when they were getting screwed over by these same people who are playing the victims today.
Yes.
Okay, real fast, guys. We're coming to the end of the real story, the Jesse T Show. I'm going to throw some real fast things at you. Give me one or two lines. Governor Brown signing the felons vote in jail. Yeah, what? Real quick. Jump in.
Republican.
No, I don't want to agree with that bill. No.
1.4 million illegals working under stolen Social Security numbers right now, according to a recent audit in Washington.
And they're destroying the black community as much as people like Dale want to pretend that black people don't care about immigration. Our community has been destroyed by illegal immigration.
Stop hiring them.
Is taxation theft of the American dollar?
Yes and no.
No, it's not.
We'll talk about that next time. You think it's moral to tax? It's a constitutional law to tax.
Yes, I think it's moral to tax in an advanced society that we live in.
Burt Reynolds dying today, 82 years old.
Yeah, Mr. Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. Best movie was Boogie Nights.
I don't know.
Favorite movie, Burt Reynolds movie.
I can't remember the name of the movie, but the 1970s, the Smokey, what is it, Smokey Badge? Hell yeah. That dude was a man's man. He just showed up and took it.
He was a man's man, posing in Playboy and everything. Okay? Or whatever, man. Hey, how about this one? Subway removing 200 stores and 200 stores, all their meat because Muslims want it done.
Yeah, well, fuck them Muslims.
I don't really like Subway, but no, it just depends. If you
and on a further note, all progressives that is boycotting In-N-Out, that shit is un-American. You need to go and order a number 3 and then say that. Animal style. That shit is un-American and we're not having it. I'm with you with all the other shit, but I'm not with you on that one. I cannot give up that. Plus, they're a very progressive corporation.
Woodrow's book. We don't have time to talk about it. We'll do that next week. Woodrow's book. Oh, man. One line. What do you think?
On the money.
I haven't read it yet.
Okay, get out there, man. Hey, it's The Real Story. Had a good time today on the Jesse T Show. Next Thursday, we're going to be covering a lot of good stuff. We want you to participate. 424-227-9464. I think that's it. 9461. Thank you very much. The music is playing. Thank you very much, Dallas. How do we get in touch with you?
Kendall Invest everywhere.
And T. Craig, what's happening?
Follow me on Facebook, Dominique Dejon Craig.
All right, there we go on the Jesse T Show right here, Monday through Friday. Hey, the Brown Beauty's off duty. See ya! Boom! that was a lot. That flowed real well.
Yep.
You know, and yeah,
we had left to talk about too, and we did it better.
Yep.
there's so much.
And we missed a whole bunch of good topics too.
Stuff. Yeah.